Well, well, well. What do we have here? We have me, Michael, the kitten farmer, and today we have a different group of cats than we did last time. We have Friday, my first ever cat, and we have Air Potato, who's been having a love affair with Victoria lately. It's nice to see that even though none of these cats truly get along, except Pee Wee and Air Potato, they can coexist long enough to sit a foot apart on the couch with me and look cute while doing it. Friday's purring away. Air Potato's harder for me to reach. Have to go over the top to give him a little tickle on the head because he's further away. But they're both here. And today, maybe I should tell you about Friday's origin story. What do you think, Friday? Don't you bite me. Anyway, so some of you might know a little bit about it already. But Friday the cat here, my little cow cat with gray spots that look like hearts all over her body. She originally came to me in 2015. I was living alone at the time. I hadn't met Victoria yet. I was not a cat person yet, and I certainly was not a kitten farmer yet. I had no pets at all, and I lived in a condo in the greater Vancouver area. And my condo allowed cats. It allowed one cat, I believe, at the time, maybe two cats, but it didn't allow dogs. As an aside, we did end up actually passing an altered bylaw that allowed a dog later on, years down the road, which I'm only saying it because that's a really rare thing to do for a strata in this area to change their bylaws so that they're more relaxed. It was a rare thing, but of course I was a part of that strata, and it wasn't a very big strata, 41 suites, and the strata president is someone who has become a friend of mine. So yeah, anyway, back to Friday. It was 2015, January, I believe. Living in a condo by myself that allows cats. On Facebook one day, I was surfing around and I saw a post. And the post on Facebook said something like that there was a cat having surgery who needed to be fostered for the weekend. A cat that needed to be picked up after her spay surgery and fostered for the weekend. And I'd never had a cat before, but I had a friend who liked cats, and nobody was trying to convince me to get a cat. But I thought, well, I can help a cat. My house allows cats. I have a car. What better do I have to do than to take a cat for a couple of days? Who needs the help? Because there were no other responses underneath this post on Facebook. Um, this post was from an animal rescue. I won't mention them by name, but it was not VOKRA. It was not the cat rescue I currently volunteer with. It was a rescue that does dogs and cats, but mostly dogs. So anyway, I got in touch with them, and they agreed to let me take the cat for the weekend. They had me go and pick her up from the vet, which was in Vancouver. It was a pretty far drive, but not, nothing insane. But anyway, I went to the vet not knowing what to expect to pick up this cat. And they had told me she's a sweet girl and really friendly and yada yada. Gave me the whole spiel about how wonderful she is. So I picked her up and I brought her home, and I had no experience at all. None. So I brought her home. She was very skinny. This girl was a anorexic looking cat, all skin and bones. And she was in a cone, obviously. and groggy from her surgery. And I checked out her scar. At the time, she was very groggy. She was easy to handle because she was really tired and didn't want to move much. And so I checked out her scar, and it was actually about this long, 4 or 5 inches long, probably 4 inches long. And it was stitches, which at the time I didn't know was weird. Now that I'm in cat rescue and I've done lots of spays and witnessed what the what the incision looks like afterwards, I realized Friday had an unusual incision, an unusually large incision. Um, Whereas after Pee Wee was spayed, she had like a 1 inch incision that was glued shut, no stitches. So at the time, I didn't realize that that was something that I should be thinking about or concerned about because I didn't know any better. I didn't have the first clue about cat surgery or even spay surgery. We'd only had one dog when I was growing up, and he was a boy, and to be honest, I don't think they ever got him fixed. He wasn't a dog. He was a little dog. They didn't leave him outdoors, but I don't think he was ever fixed. He certainly liked the ladies, put it that way. Sniffing and whatnot. Anyway, so as Friday recovers with me, she does love me. She loves me as much as she loves me now. She lies here with me from the start. And I think that um, the recovery we put in together allowed us to bond and become friends and acquaintances and eventually relatives. Uh, but I found out quickly, probably within the first week. Now, this is over 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, so I don't remember everything. Uh, but I found out quickly that Friday has a pointy end, multiple pointy ends, and I shed some blood. But anyway, it turned out that Friday, though friendly, nice, loving, was also prone to vicious attacks. She isn't feral. She isn't feral. She's fractious, which is a word that means that they are prone to outbursts of anger. I may have the definition on that slightly wrong, but we use it for cats that lash out and attack out of the blue. And though she loved me and wanted to sleep on my legs every night, she would also lash out and bite me or scratch me. And one of the worst ones I remember, we were sleeping in bed. I was asleep, and Friday ended up beside my body, under the covers, I think. And I was asleep, and I didn't know what was going on. And I reached and I put my arm around her, I think. I think I snuggled her a little bit, like just a snuggle. And this was probably, a month in, not the first week. This was later. And when I reached around and snuggled her, asleep, not thinking, she bit my arm, bit me so hard. Deep teeth all the way in, 4 puncture wounds, bleeding. Thank goodness through all these years and scratches and bites, I never did get any serious infections. But I was worried about it from time to time. I would usually wash them with soap and then put on some sanitizer or something afterwards to try to make sure it was clean wounds. So, anyway, well, I had this fractious, friendly, loving cat who also hurt me in my house. The rescue who sent her to me, I believe they sent me an email and asked me how she was doing. And I believe we sent back, she's doing good. She's healed up. She's ready for adoption, and I let them know that she was a little bit dangerous. They said they didn't know, whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, I never heard back from them again. Legitimately never heard back from them again. I was fostering this cat for the weekend. I think a week later I emailed with them once or maybe twice. Then I never heard back from them again. So at this point in time, Friday the cat is still just a foster almost 9 years later. Technically a foster. Come on. Come try to pry her out of my cold dead hands, right? This is my cat. As dangerous as she is, it's my cat. And no one's coming to find her. They probably In my mind at the time, I think they left her behind because of her problems, but I don't think that's true. Now that I've been in cat rescue for so long, I actually think they just let her slip through the cracks, because in volunteer run organizations, there's not a lot of, um, I don't know, accountability. There's not a lot of organization. Sometimes things slip through the cracks. Maybe they were keeping their lists of cats on pieces of paper. Maybe they misplaced her piece of paper. I don't know. But either way, she's not in their system. If you dig really, 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 really far back on their Facebook page, I'm pretty sure you can find um, a photo of her where they a photo I sent them maybe where they put her up for adoption, or a photo when I went to pick her up that they posted. But you'd have to dig. I don't even think you could make it there anymore. The way Facebook works, you can't get to the end very easily. It takes forever. Um, oh, and the story of when she was found. Um, this girl was found stray in an alley in downtown Vancouver. See how I moved there? Because she's moving her paw because I'm scared she's going to get me. You going to get me? Don't you bite me. Don't you bite me. She was found stray in an alley in downtown Vancouver, skinny, cold, decrepit, possibly arthritic. She doesn't move that well. She never has. Although she was very fast the first couple of years I had her, very fast, but she still had a clunky walk. You know I'm talking about you, eh? You don't want me to talk about you. She keeps trying to get me here. But she's not trying very hard because she's sleepy. But anyway, she was found in this cold, dark alley in Vancouver by, um, how would I put this best? By a female adult film actress. Female actor from adult films, you know, X rated films. And she was reported to the rescue by this lady, and they called her Valentine because she has hearts on her and whatnot. But when I got her, I don't know. I'm not a sappy guy. I was single guy. Real man's man, you know. Just kidding. But anyway, I called her Friday. I picked her up on a Friday. She might have been called Friday because I picked her up on a Friday, but I think I had that name in mind already anyway. And I think I called her Hurricane Friday too. I think that was her original official name was Hurricane Friday. Possibly because of what we found out about her personality later. The level of danger. Oh, you want to scratch? Scratch together. Hurricane Friday. You haven't heard that in a bunch of years, hey? I don't call her that anymore. I just call her Friday. She's trying to kill me right now. I have a lot of nicknames for Friday. Call her Plupster, Fry, Fries. Oh! It's hard to remember when I'm trying to not be killed by her. Fried potato is a favorite, which kind of goes with air potato. But I've called her fried potato long since before I met air potato. I guess I just like the word potato for cats. One time in 2014, I believe it was 2014, I was in Portland and I met a cat, an outdoor cat, a community cat, a community cat. It wasn't somebody's cat. He was a cat that lived outdoors between a bunch of houses near the Airbnb I was staying at, and his name was, I call him him. It's got to be a girl. It was a calico, dilute calico, but her name was Potato. And I just loved it. It was a great cat. She rolled around for pats, and her name was Potato, and she was a grubby outdoor thing. She probably had ear mites, but she was healthy. They fed her. And I guess the name Potato must have stuck with me all that time. I didn't have her in mind when I named this little spud, but Potato does just keep coming back as I do more and more cat rescue. I'll try to get away from that, although people are asking me to stick with fire. Done Firefly and the other ones, Firecracker. People want more fire themed. We've done Flame. People like that. That's okay. But anyway, further back to Friday's long stitches after her spay, I realized at a later date that they probably Um, they probably were looking for more ovary tissue or doing something exploratory, because as it turns out, I took Friday to another vet, my vet, because she would go into heat even though she was already fixed. And the vet, and I took her to the vet because she was going into heat and it made her pee on the bed and stuff, and that's unsavory behavior, tough to live with. And the vet said that they checked her out, and he said, she might have extra ovary tissue left over in her body. Like they missed a piece or an ovary was still there after the surgery. So I thought maybe that long scar is because they were doing more of an exploratory surgery than I was aware of. I never asked them to let me know what they did during the surgery when I picked her up. They just gave me a litter box, some food, and litter and a scoop and whatnot, and sent me on my merry way. But it turns out she had a scan to find this extra ovarian tissue, and the vet let me know that Friday was actually born with what's called a unihorn uterus, which is a uterus that only has one horn, and that she must have another ovary or ovarian cells that were abandoned in her body because they weren't connected to this single horn uterus. Um, so on that side of things, that we managed to pay for this surgery, I paid for it, and because even though she was a long-term foster, they hadn't talked to me in months. I paid for it about. I think the surgery was about $400 and the scan was about $450, so maybe $800 to $1,000 total. But it worked. It worked. She doesn't go into heat anymore. He said he found the tissue and he was hopeful that it would work, and truthfully, it did. So I was always very, um, I guess, proud or excited about how good of a job they did to find this bit of ovarian tissue that was causing her to have hormone imbalances and go into heat. But at the same time, as he scanned her, he told me she was also born with one kidney. So these things mean a couple things. One, Friday never had babies. She couldn't. She was born unable to bear children. So she is not a mama. This is not a mama cat. And two, with only one kidney, though she's been healthy for 8.5 years with me, and I found her as an adult, a scraggly adult. They told me she could be anywhere between 3 and 7. We've had her almost 9 years. She's seemed fairly old for a few years. So I think she's 12 going on 13 years old. Something like that, roughly. We call her 12, so maybe next year we'll call her 13. Um, but if her kidney goes, it'll probably go quick, is my point. She only has one. And in cats, of course, unfortunately, kidney disease is pretty common, pretty prevalent in cats. So if you had to put money on what would get her eventually, that would be my bet. But we don't know. She's had a pretty good life here with me for almost 9 years. Was an adult already. She's had a pretty good life. A life she probably didn't expect. I'm guessing because of her fractious behavior, she's not a feral cat. I'm guessing she was owned before we found her. She was probably owned, and I wouldn't say like tormented, though it's possible, but maybe they had kids who would pull on her tail, or shitty people who would, give her a whack when she was doing something she didn't want, so it turned her into a kitten that would snap. Another thing that can cause this poor behavior is taking kittens away from their siblings too early. That's why we always make sure adoptions are after 8 weeks, because kittens learn to socialize amongst themselves, and they learn from each other's reactions when they're hurting and when they need to stop and how hard they can bite. And that's why a cat like Air Potato here, if he bites me, he's not hurting. It hurts a little bit, but he's not breaking the skin. I could safely put my finger in Air Potato's mouth and I'm not in trouble. Now, if I do that to this girl, I might only have 2 links on this finger, because the third one's going to be Chow. So, anyway, Friday the Fractious cat. That's her origin story. That's how she ended up with me. And she sleeps on my legs every night. And I'm pretty sure if she goes, or if she ever stops sleeping on my legs, I'm pretty sure I'll feel just about naked. in bed, because it's a comforting thing having this warm, heavy, not super heavy, but she's 8 to 10 pounds, heavy object on your legs every night. I'm a stomach sleeper, and my legs are like a little, you sleep on your stomach, and one of them's bent, and she sleeps right there in the hole. And I'm used to it. So I hope she stays a while longer. And I hope she stops scratching. She's a lot safer now than she used to be. Mostly because she's slower and lazier. But that's okay. She probably needs a checkup too. I think we're due. I think she probably needs her senior checkup and dental work done and whatnot. Hey, what do you think you're doing Friday? What do you think you're doing? We're probably due for that. I'm not sure which vet I'm going to take her to. I might take her to Queensboro Vet, where I got Air Potato sorted out, because they did a really good job and their pricing was reasonable enough. But Friday's vet, I haven't been there in a while because I've been going to Pee Wee's vet and Air Potatoes vet for most of my stuff. So maybe I'll take Friday to Air Potatoes again the next time. So a lot of people were asking me about Friday's origin story. There you go. That's what it is. And I've spent 20 minutes talking about it. So I guess if anyone ever asks me again what her story is, I'm going to direct them to this episode of Cat Chat. And they can listen to it for 22 minutes. And they can watch sweet little Air Potato as well. Air Potato, who's been spending a lot of beautiful time with Vika lately, making me jealous, but I'm okay with it because Pee Wee's been spending time with me, and Pee Wee's the most majestic and wonderful of them all. She's enigmatic, but when Pee Wee gives you love, it feels special and different from any other cat because it's a little bit rarer, and she's a little bit more precious. Anyway, that's about all the time we have. Could have talked about more, but I spent it all on this girl. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you like, comment, share the video if you'd like to. Does anybody else in the world want to sit and listen to a 22-minute podcast about how some guy found his cat? Maybe. If you know, let them know. Maybe they'll thank you for it. Anyhow, have a good day or night. Nice to see you all. Bye.